What's going on, guys? Just kind of winding down this off-season plan, transitioning from all the high volume stuff to more into a strength phase. So that way, when I hit my meet prep, I'm already kind of handling heavier weight, especially the weights that aren't my competition lifts, like these deadlifts here. You know, being able to kind of peak out those lifts, the ones that aren't your competition lifts, that have a pretty good carryover, and use them as indicators to build your lifts off of. It's a pretty good idea to kind of run those a little bit heavier towards the end to kind of see the progress you've made, which I feel like if you pick the right exercises and you have the right indicators, then a lot of progress can be made just based on what you're doing in your off season. You'll be able to tell if it was a good one or not. Also, when there's a bunch of us kind of getting ready for the meets at the same time, there's a handful of us doing the same meet that I'm doing, November 19th. We also have Doyle, who's doing the Big Dogs meet in Australia at the end of October, and Kaylee, who's doing a meet mid-September. So she's the closest one. So we all kind of decided to pick times and days and work out together. So I'll be including some of their footage in the training as well, just so you guys can kind of see, how they're doing and how their preps are going, and you can kind of follow along and see what they do. I do Kaylee's programming, but the other two guys that you saw, Mike and Doyle, they do their own stuff. So you'll be able to see kind of the contrast and the difference between coaching styles and programs and stuff. So I think that's always pretty cool to see what other people are doing that are pretty strong as well. I'm throwing these deficit stiff leg deadlifts, and Chris and Doyle were there, and they were kind enough to point out that I should drop the box and focus more on hip hinge, which I need to do. I really need to work on that in order for me to be a good sumo puller. So as you'll see, I went into doing some stiff leg deadlifts off the floor, and then I did some RDLs specifically to work the hip hinge. And all that is just making sure that you're driving your hips to the bar instead of pulling back and having the bar drag up your hips, kind of creating a wedge, which you'll see the difference there as I'm kind of lifting with my back and my hips are second to go. And then these RDLs here, where I'm driving my hips through and not really fully locking out my back, making sure that my hips come through first. So if you guys are having problems with your hinge position, this is one of my favorite exercises that I started throwing in to kind of build that position, reiterate that position, so when you go to do your pulls, you're kind of building that motor pattern already without even having to do the exercises that you're trying to work on. That and a couple other drills that I'm going to be throwing in there that I'll probably show you guys as I start to do them more often, to just kind of rework that pattern. I feel like just the years of strongman training and kind of being my own coach and not really having people around me to fix some of these technicalities, even though I've been able to progress and I've been able to hit some bigger weights, technique isn't always the greatest, and I've been able to kind of maximize the technique that I have, but in order to fulfill my goals and my potential, I definitely am very happy to have the people around me that are kind of cluing me in on some of this stuff and helping me with drills and everything to get better. So moving on to Saturday's bench session. This is my close grip bench day that I'm doing pauses. Worked up to 385 this week for 5 sets. Everything felt pretty good with these. I was happy with the way they moved. I know that towards the end of a volume phase, or towards the end of any phase before a deload, things start to get heavy and things start to slow down. So the fact that these things are moving pretty well is a good sign that recovery is going well. Still eating a lot of food. Weight's still sitting at a good position where I want it to be, so couldn't be more happy with that as well. Being able to kind of grow more into this meet prep and be as big as I can be. This is the first time I've ever truly had to cut weight to get to 242, so that should be a good sign, a good indicator of things are progressing in the right way. This day, Adrian Larson came down and he did some benching, so it's always fun to have him around at Kabuki. Surround yourself with strong people and you'll get strong, and that's always been a motto of mine. So on my close grip days, everything is mostly tricep oriented. It's kind of bodybuilding stylish where you really want to work the muscles, as much as you can that day, and that way I get full recovery for the next time I do it. I know some people like to do more frequency. I'm more of a person mentally and physically. I just feel better if I get it all done in one day, and that just works for me. It doesn't have to work for everyone. You just kind of figure it out what works best, and you just go from there. And like I said, as you can see, everything here is close grip, tricep oriented. That seems to be one of my weakest body parts as far as everything else goes. I always have issues locking out my bench press, and I always have issues with an uneven lockout, which I fixed over time. But you never know what your true weaknesses are until you start getting heavier. So if I can just keep hammering down on the weaknesses that I know I have, by the time meet prep comes along, hopefully they'll be taken care of, and I'll be able to find new weaknesses and build on that and just continue to grow and get better. This is the second back workout of the week, doing back and shoulders on this day. This is Sunday, so about to go into the next week here, and just getting in some back work, 3 to 4 exercises, shoulders 3 exercises. For my shoulder stuff, since I do most of my press in on Wednesday and Saturday, all the shoulder stuff that I do is more of the raises. So I got a lot of rear delts, a lot of side raises, just to build up healthier, stronger shoulders. I feel like that's often neglected. A lot of people do the pressing movements, but not a lot of people do the bodybuilding style movements to really get blood flowing in the area, build them up, and make the muscles bigger, so that way they're healthier and stronger come when it's time to hit the heavy weights. You've never seen a big bencher with small shoulders and small triceps. So that's really what I'm trying to build on these 2 days, and then see how that goes whenever the meet prep starts, which is going to start in about 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm excited for that with the guys and Kaylee. See what we can do. Thanks guys for watching. Subscribe, like, and share. Until next time, take care.